Hey everybody, it's Mike here. Today I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of talking about, the latest game or something like that, we're going to go back a bit and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite games ever. That's Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic. And I'm not talking about the MMORPG. That's more recent. I'm talking about back in the day. I'm going to age myself a bit, but this was back in 2003. I think I was in like grade 9 at the time. One of my first RPGs that I really got into. It has one of the best storylines still to this day. When you go back to it, it's a very simple storyline, but it's just in the manner it was told and the different side characters, the voice acting. They don't make games like they did back then. This was a complete game. It had everything in it and had endless hours of replay value. Anywho, they've released this game on PC since, and there's a Switch port. That being said, why this was such a good game, it's just because of the storyline. It wasn't necessarily a very complicated storyline. You had KOTOR 2, a little bit more complicated, but this was just the way and the manner it was told, the different characters, the different personalities, and the different options you had in terms of dialogue, and then the system, the combat system was originated from Dungeons and Dragons, where they called it the D20 system, and it's basically a 20-sided dice. There's different ways to maximize your character for efficiency, so you'll spend hours trying to, find the best builds for each class. So that's something I got really into. Many games that offer this kind of gameplay, RPG mechanics, and it's a great storyline. We got more recent games like Mass Effect, but then again, they went greedy and they made Andromeda. I don't know what the heck happened there. But that's a whole other video. That being said, not many games come close to just the perfection when it comes to storyline and just the way it was put together. This game is almost like a benchmark to what other games should be in terms of character development, character interaction, and I think there's many enhancements on this formula that we can even make a KOTOR 3 and make it one of the best games ever, but I know we're all crossing our fingers for that one. Alright, so this game's story is something special. So this game took place 4,000 years before the original series of the Star Wars movies, so it allowed BioWare to be very creative on how they told the story. This was at a time someone named Darth Malak was in power, and he was just launching this never-ending army against the Republic, and this army actually generated something called the Star Forge. The main player character will have to go to different planets, and you'll find these star maps, and they eventually lead you to the Star Forge. But it's a lot more deep than that. You start off and you can change between a scout, soldier, a scoundrel, and then you can further customize your character into a Jedi consular. So this is someone who focuses on solely force powers. And then you got Jedi Sentinel, which is like a balance between the Jedi Guardian Consular. So you got a lot of skills, and you have a good balance between force powers and just physical lightsaber attacks. And then you have obviously the Jedi Guardian, which focuses on lightsaber combat, probably the less complicated one to use. And also, depending on what kind of light or dark side points, on the different decisions you make in the story, will determine on how good your different abilities are. For example, if you make a lot of bad decisions or evil decisions, your lightning will be more powerful. So this game really was one of the pioneers in making your decisions really matter. So your decisions not only affect how the story plays out, but how your different abilities you can use in combat. So if you want to be a dark side, force wielder, I wouldn't make the good choices. You want to make the evil choices, so you can use powers like force lightning and choke and make those a lot more effective. And then the writing and characters in this game are just a masterclass, because you got characters like Bastila. She's a Jedi, but she also is very emotional. She's very rash, and you can already see what's going on there, right? The other thing that makes her special, she has a special ability called Battle Meditation, and this really helps the Republic against battles against the Sith. So there's different twists like that. And then you got Carth, and he's just a big baby. He's crying throughout the whole beginning level, and not a lot of people like Carth. The thing that makes him kind of special is he wields 2 blasters, and he's also the pilot for the Ebon Hawk. Then, we got your one of the best battle droids ever made in the Star Wars universe, well, at least in my opinion, HK-47. He's just really funny. So he's just a ruthless droid, and some of the comments he makes just really make the game entertaining. You're really going to want him at your party at some point in the game. Got Jolee Bindo, another great character. He's the old man in the forest. It's a lot more to him once you get to really get into different dialogue, and that's what we really like about all the characters in this game. At face value, they seem very simple, and then the more you talk to them, like their background, their backstories really get you involved and emotionally invested in these characters. And then you got characters like Zaalbar. Of course, you can't have a Star Wars game without a Wookiee, right? So he's your Wookiee tank kind of character with his boltcaster. Now, I never really liked Mission, to be honest, but she's almost like one of the earlier characters you run into. She's like your scoundrel thief type character, so she's good at like stealth attacks, but I never really found her too useful in combat. You know, that could be me. Maybe I could have utilized her more. Then you got Canderous, who ends up being the leader of Mandalore and KOTOR Tour. Very, very entertaining character, especially if you're on the dark side. You definitely want him around, and yeah, don't miss out on that dialogue. And then you got Juhani, who's your typical Jedi gone rogue, and you run into her at the Dantooine Academy. Not the most engaging or interesting character, I would say. I would say between her and Mission, I'd spend the less time engaging with these two. Still interesting character nonetheless. Last but not least, you got your R2-D2 clone, T3M4. Another huge thing that really makes this game stand out is just the different locations this game takes you. For example, you got the Sith planet of Korriban, so you got the Sith Academy there. So you actually become a Sith. I don't want to get too into the story, but you need to become a Sith to progress and to find one of the star maps. So very interesting. You actually get to explore different tombs of the different Sith Lords. And which is a very interesting world. So it's a water world, except other than Aho City. And this city is run by the Selkath, and these guys are very political. They need to do everything in court, and they're very strong in their neutrality, so they're not trying to join the Sith or the Republic. So and they actually have this very valuable resource for healing called Kolto. Kolto is basically Bacta, if you know Star Wars lore. It's just a healing source. You can't forget about the Wookiee homeworld, Kashyyyk. So you get to go there and explore, not only the treetops, but you actually get to go lower, and that's where you run into Jolee Bindo. Very interesting, actually. The Sith are actually trying to enslave the Wookiees, as usual. Everyone's trying to enslave the Wookiees, but a great planet there. It has a good storyline. Then you almost can't have a Star Wars game without this one. You got Tatooine, so you got the different, of course, your Sand Raiders and everything you would expect from Tatooine. Probably one of my favorite planets in KOTOR, to be honest. And last but not least, you got Taris, and this planet actually sets the tone for the rest of the game, and I think a lot of people underestimate how good this planet is. A lot of people don't like it because you don't have your Jedi skills yet, and a lot of people look at Taris as almost like your tutorial, and you're just getting through the beginning, but it actually has a very deep storyline to it. Like, for example, Taris is divided into different sections. So you got the upper area where the upper class lives, the middle area where all the gangs fight, and then you got the underworld where all the Rakghouls are, and it's just the slums, so all the poor live there. And then it kind of shows how the Sith is kind of controlling the galaxy and just causing trouble for everyone. Really good job at making this first level, and really appreciate how it enhances the rest of the game. It sets the tone for the rest of the game. Not to mention, you can play this anywhere. You can play it on your tablet, you can play it on your phone, you can play it on your Switch, you can play it on your Xbox, your PS5, your PC. So whatever you have, there's no excuse. You can definitely play this. Anyway, so between the force powers you can use, how you can build your characters, and how you can interact with other characters in this game, honestly, if you haven't tried this game before, and this video helps one other person try KOTOR in 2023, I think I did my job. Or even if I got one person to play it again, because that's what I'm doing now, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm still crossing my fingers for KOTOR 3. I really hope it comes out. I think they can develop a really good game if they take their time and learn from these original games and really spend their time with it. Don't rush out a game and end up with the end product like something like Mass Effect Andromeda, because goodness, we don't need that happening in Knights of the Old Republic. Otherwise, that's all I wanted to cover in this video. If you like this type of content, feel free to check out my channel and consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.